Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to share this live stream to, I think I can do this. There we go. Bam. Share. I just want to share it to my actual podcast page because I tried to do my last show on my podcast page and it had like 22 people and only one person actually watched it for any period of time. So I'm just going to keep doing these on my personal page and uploading them to my podcast page until eventually the shift happens where more people know me by the page rather than my personal. So sharing a page you manage. Geez, I am having a day today. Done. There we go. Okay. Sorry, everyone. I just wanted to do that. I will figure out how to do it faster later. So I've thought about talking about this for a long time on here, but I didn't find a reason to, or I didn't have maybe the words yet. So I'm hoping that maybe as we go through today, I will find them. So what I've decided to talk about is the entire story about why I have 3 children. And not only why I have 3 children, but why I have 3 children and the 2 youngest are like 2.5 weeks apart. If you don't know the story, strap in because it's a long one. If you do know the story, there's tons of holes to be filled for everybody because, with stories like this, there's a lot to go through. So I'm not going to do names of people because things are still going on. But for the people that know names, they know. And for the people that don't, well, the story still stands. I, 5 years ago, was with a woman who controlled me in many ways that taught me what I was worth. In no more words, I was this woman's puppy dog. She treated me like one. She even called me her puppy. I was much younger than her at the time of our relationship. And we split off we broke up, but we still lived together. And so, what happens when, 2 people still live together that were in a relationship, we still sleep together. And she ended up getting pregnant. And I remember being on a dirt mound as a flagger out in Cloverdale. I was flagging a motocross event, working for the weekend because I was on EI. And she called me and said, I think I'm pregnant. I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant. And I had a feeling she was pregnant. And, lo and behold, she was. So immediately, knowing that I wasn't actually with this woman, but I was still with this woman, I knew that I needed to do the right thing. And then the right thing was to try and make the relationship work and try and be there for her and try and be there for the child and be a dad. And maybe this is my family now. This is what it is. So honest to God, and I know this sounds short, but I spent the next 2 weeks putting in every ounce of effort that I could into this relationship, trying coddling every situation and being extra sweet and taking care of every woman need. And the more and more I put in effort, the more and more I realized that this woman would be the death of me. And I left. I told her that I'm not going to be with you. We can do the child support thing. We cannot do I told her I was done. And for all intents and purposes at the time, I was done. And through that time, I was working at the Angry Chef, and I met my next girlfriend while my ex-girlfriend was pregnant. It took a long time for us to, like, it took some time for us to actually become a relationship, but nearing the end of the pregnancy of my ex-girlfriend, my new girlfriend, we started a relationship and we started sleeping together. And my first son was born was born around September. I'm not going to do specifics of everything, but was born around September. And at that time I went on, my heart's like beating, oh geez, because this is a part of my life where I was a demon. I acted like a demon. I was a giant piece of shit, and I'm not going to make myself look good in this. It's coming how much of a piece of shit I was. I knew that my ex was done and me and her were done. And while my new girlfriend went on a trip to Mexico, I slept with my ex-girlfriend multiple times. At the time, I didn't care. I didn't care about anybody else's feelings. I didn't care about my own feelings. I didn't care about human dignity or respect of anybody. I did what I selfishly wanted to do. And at the time, I wanted to sleep with whoever I wanted and use whoever I wanted. And I ended up using both these women, essentially. I can say whatever I want about my ex-girlfriend. We're going through the court system right now to fight for, essentially, I'm essentially fighting for access for my two kids. I will go in length as to why and what's going on. I won't go into unnecessary specifics, but my ex is using an insane amount of manipulative tactics against me to further her court proceedings. And this is where the story really comes from, is because my name is being slandered online by people I have no idea who they are, because they believe a story from only one perspective. And so really this whole story is me allowing people to see what happened. And if you believe me, you believe me. If you don't, that's on you. But I have no reason to lie. I have evidence to back up all of my claims, and from text messages to videos to audio recordings, you name it. If you'll just give me 1 second, I'm just going to grab a glass of water. Unfortunately, when my nerves get shot, my mouth gets dry and I can't talk at all. So my new girlfriend goes to Mexico. I cheat on her a bunch. I skipped over a step where, previous to the Mexico trip, I cheated on my new girlfriend with my ex-girlfriend while she was pregnant, while my new girlfriend was asleep at home. I was texting my ex because she was still pregnant with my kid, so I was still talking to her about things, and like I was there for the birth of my first child. Mind you, when I'm kind of going back and forth over some of these things, this is 5-year-old information that I'm just kind of relaying offhand. Like, I didn't write any of this out. I just wanted to talk about it and get it off, because if I can be honest about my shortcomings, about where I failed as a person and made huge mistakes, I hope that you can give me a little more, give my words a little more validity after, when it comes time to he said, she said. I Again, I cheated on my girlfriend multiple times with my ex, and someone messaged my girlfriend and told her about what happened, and I lied about it like a motherfucker. I lied so hard. I I manipulated the situation in the most disgusting manner. I twisted people's beliefs of what my ex would say and how much of a liar she is. Like, I really abused the truth of, like, the fact that she does lie and manipulate situations. I use that to my benefit, to lie and manipulate about a situation. So they believed me, my girlfriend believed me, and time goes by and my son is born. Now we're getting back to my son being born. Months go by and my girlfriend and I take a trip, and we're locked away for a week, and we're out with some friends in a couple cities away. I'm okay. And so it's open. Oh, he needs me to open. Sorry, guys. So we go away on a trip, and during that trip, my girlfriend got pregnant with my second son, who just ran through this house. And after already being a piece of shit, I kind of I lost my mind a little bit. I realized that I was now going to have two children, and I had no one to talk to. My mom already called me, an idiot for having a kid so young with somebody I wasn't going to be with, let alone now I'm going to have a child with somebody I've only been with for like 4.5 months. What was I going to do? Well, at this time, I was actually still talking to my ex-girlfriend who had just had my son. And I go over to her house, and I'm freaking out, and I'm like, oh, man, like, she's pregnant now. What am I going to do? And, she's kind of really upset about it, and we kind of hold each other, and I don't exactly remember the specifics of how it happened, but we ended up sleeping together. I don't have any excuses for what happened. I'm not alleviating any of it by saying that was me then. Like, I was a shitty person, and I deserve everything that's happening to me right now. I deserve all of it, because karma is one nasty bitch, and when she comes for you, it comes hard. So through the luck of the draw, my ex-girlfriend became pregnant through that night. That was.
Hey, Dad, these ones are too tight.
They're too tight? Oh, that's okay. You can take those off then. You can just go run now. Oh, you gotta leave those on. Hey, you gonna play with Papa? You be careful. Go play with Papa, my son. I'm very, very busy. I'm sorry. Okay, there's blue. There's ones right there. So she became pregnant as well, and now I had a third child, and they're so close. They're so close. It's insane when I tell people that I've got 3 kids. And
Is it that talk?
Yes, I am talking, Maximus. I'm sorry. I know. I can't. Maximus, go see Mom. Go see Mom. She called you. Of course, my son wants to talk. He's very, very expressive as well. Obviously, I wonder where he gets it from. So I now have 2 women pregnant at the same time, and one of them doesn't know. My girlfriend that I had this whole time believed that I had never cheated on her in the first place, and now I've cheated on her again for a handful of times afterwards, because there was a couple, like, it happened, and I don't know what to do. My life is like, I contemplated saving money, enough money to buy a ticket to Brazil and just fly away, because that would have been way easier than dealing with than the life I've created for myself now. I mean, out of the rubble, I managed to build a little bit of a household, but It took so long and so much effort and so much changing on my part, obviously. So my girlfriend finds out. She through she I was acting so weird, so weird for days. And I left my laptop in her car when I was at her house one night, and so she went and grabbed my laptop. And there's messages between my ex and I talking about what's going on and how we're gonna like what's gonna happen, what am I gonna do. And she loses it, rightfully so. Her whole world crumbles. Mind you, she's 19 years old, okay, when this all happens. I'm 22 years old when this all happens. And my ex-girlfriend is 20, about 27 when the 26, 27 when this all happens. So there's a little bit of an age gap between us, but my girlfriend, she in this entire story is the victim. If anybody wants to send a message of hugs and well wishes, she deserves it, because she's a queen through everything. I am absolutely unapologetically so grateful every day that I'm still here with her, that we're still working on this, like we're still we have a kid together. And I'm get to do this podcast in the kitchen, and like we're very, very good. And that I'm just so thankful that I'm not doing the court game with two people, because doing it with one person alone is absolute hell, especially when they use every absolute lie and slander and completely false allegations that hours. I couldn't spend enough time telling you the stories about things that I've been accused of and things that I've been alleged to have done in the presence of my children. That keeps me from being a parent to my eldest son and my youngest daughter. So she finds out. I tell her over and over how sorry I am, and of course it means nothing, because why would it mean anything? So I did the first thing that any sane person would do. I called Ann Davis Services and I asked to speak to a counselor. And my first session with a counselor was sometime in the middle of January. I know this because I lived in Fairfield Island, and Ann Davis Services is like 45 minutes away from that. And I walked in like what was, the blizzard of the year to there and back, and just to have my 1 hour conversation with a counselor to explain to him this story in much more tearful detail at the time, exactly what I've done to myself. And then I ask him at the end, how in the good earth do I get out of this? And he said, I don't know, but I hope to God we can figure it out together. So over the next 7 months, I spoke with this man for an hour twice a week, every week, just working out the little details. How do I fix, like, 5 steps back, because I'm crying and I don't want to, I can't do it. Like, I just shouldn't be a dad to anybody. I should just leave them, because obviously I'm this piece of shit and I just shouldn't be a dad at all. And then, the next time I see him, I'm like, oh, that was just me being crazy. I'm going to be a dad. Like, I'm going to do this. This will be okay. I can handle this. And then the next visit is back to tears. Like, it was horrible. Through all of this, my girlfriend is still my girlfriend. We're still an item, but we're not. Like, we weren't anything for a long time. I can count on every cell in my body how many times I said I love you in her eyes, and she just said nothing back. Just stared me dead blank, like the giant piece of shit. And I deserved every single second of it, and a million seconds more that I haven't received. So my children are born. I've gone to counseling. My girlfriend and I have gone to counseling together. a little bit, she was very reluctant to do it because, and understandably, again, she didn't feel like she had anything to go to counseling for. But as some of you may understand, when something like that happens, you can't, there's no way you're managing that on your own. Like, you need to talk to somebody who's trained in that, in conflict resolution. So we go to counseling, we slowly work on our relationship. It's, years go by in bits and pieces. That's not the point of this whole story. I mean, I really want to stress how amazing it is that I like, we managed to do this. It was in no short part of the countless hundreds of hours I spent listening to lectures on psychology and I guess you could say, like, essentially what it means to be a good, decent human being. I spent 2 years every single day spending 2 to 6 hours listening to lectures. And I don't know what the math is on that, but I mean, it does have to account to at least, like, a couple thousand, 1,000 hours of psychological deep dives on everything from the nature of feminine and masculine and responsibility versus victimhood versus like, or the paradigm between rights and responsibilities, like how life is more intrinsically valuable when you take on responsibilities, like being a dad, like, facing your demons down to and over yourself in the mirror. Like, it's all that kind of stuff, like things that I just never paid enough attention to, and it absolutely affected the outcome of my current family. Now for the fun stuff. I have been in a 4-year court battle with my ex-girlfriend fighting for my 2 children. I have been called a drug abuser. I have been called a violent, verbally aggressive, drunk, rageaholic. I have been accused of being a deadbeat, not wanting to pay child support, not being able to pay child support. I have been accused of beating my kids on 3 occasions now, one of which I got arrested for. 2 other, I guess this is the second one. So I guess actually it's really two abuse allegations, but countless negligence allegations that I've had to go to supervised visits that I get to pay for. I have to pay for just to spend 2 hours with my kids. I'd like to point out, this is the big thing about what my ex is doing, is my ex is using all of her version of the court proceedings and disseminating them amongst what can only be labeled as an LGBTQ inclusion page. There is now a large number of people who believe me to be this malicious, violent monster to my children that is absolutely unfounded and untrue. And this woman now has a GoFundMe page for our court battle, raised by the inclusion page, because they believe that, let me see what it says right here. It is an urgent need of financial help. We, the admin, discussed this person's need and felt that our group was a perfect match to reach everyone and see who is willing and able to make a contribution. Please note, due to the sensitive nature of this person's needs, we are keeping their identity and the specifics of what the funds are for private and confidential. If you have specific questions, please send a private message to one of the admins, and we will share what we can on a case-by-case basis. Thank you for your generosity and help. Every little bit counts. Now, there is a video posted by the people who made this, and in the video they stipulate that there's a child protection order going on, and this person is battling cancer. They don't state who the person is, but through various sources I can't relay that information as well, because if I relay the information of who told me the specifics of this charitable donation, then I would no longer be able to get that information, because they would essentially, I would be outing that person. And whether anybody wants to accuse me of withholding information, this is the only way that this person is the only way that I know about any of this. Otherwise, I would have no idea that my ex has been absolutely slandering me for months, saying I have screenshots, long screenshots of her going back and forth with people, claiming that I've been a deadbeat and I don't pay child support, and I've been unable to, and I don't actually even want the kids, and when I do want the kids, I just abuse them, and I'm this huge drug addict. I took a drug test. I tested positive for marijuana. That is the only drug I will ever test for. It's true, people. I'm sorry. That's it. When it came back, and after she had claimed that countless times, fully believed that I was high on cocaine, and that I was this raging drunk. She claimed that one time when she picked up the children from me when I was able to have them, that I was hanging out in an alleyway with prostitutes and drug dealers, and I took my child and came at her in a stumbling motion towards her. Now, I don't know if any of you have known me for a long period of time. Some of you have met me personally. I don't typically hang out with prostitutes and drug dealers. I don't know a lot of them. I mean, in Chilliwack, everybody knows a drug dealer. But I mean, to know a prostitute, if you really want to know the prostitutes I know the one I knew, sorry, because she's passed away, the Cocker Spaniel. She was this woman who walked around downtown. She was a worker, and she had the craziest curly hair, and she looked like a poodle. And so anytime I saw her, I was like, "Hey, Cocker Spaniel." And obviously that's kind of rude, but I mean, it's life. Sometimes when you're a kid, things happen. But back to where are we now? So I've been accused of everything. Affidavit after affidavit about just nicks and scratches on their body. Everything is documented. Down the biggest one that really got me is in our court proceedings. It's used against me over and over that once, when I had them when they were a child, when they were an infant, my eldest son, I didn't change his diaper, and his diaper exploded and caused a chemical burn, and she sent me a very graphic photo of Brandon. And for a long time, I ate that because I was just like, my goodness, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. What am I like? How can I make this? Like, I'm so sorry. I'll never let this happen again. In the same email that I didn't realize I didn't think about this, but I had changed my son's diaper. I changed his diaper, and when, if anybody knows anything about changing diapers and giving it back to your your ex at the end, I did my, her suggestion that my son was